Hello and welcome to the program. I am Oyi Adekunle. Arising from its National Executive Council meeting, the All Progressives Congress APC has dissolved all its executive committees across the states and zones in the country. The NEC also expelled its former vice chairman for South-South, Hilliard Etta, for shunning the party's order to members to withdraw all court cases filed against the party. It also resolved to extend the Mai Malabuni-led National Caretaker Committee's tenure by another 6 months. Joining me now on the program to discuss more on this is Eniton Olukotun, a public affairs analyst. Eniton, thank you very much for joining me on the program.
Amen.
Now, is there any part of these resolutions that you find surprising?
Well, if you look at it, I'm not actually surprised about the resolution of the APC NEC today, because if you look at it, they have been in the murky water of crisis, for a very long time and all that. And going forward into 2023, it is quite expedient for them to put their house in order and to reconcile, all the aggrieved tendencies and parties, within their fold for them to have any, meaningful, show in 2023. So I'm not surprised. Because if you look at the various structures, we have across the state chapters and all that, you will discover that it's, you have a lot of political principalities, that are holding on to the souls of those parties in those states. And there are so many people that consider themselves politically displaced persons, within the APC and all that. So you cannot build a peace process. You cannot deepen harmony within the party, without first and foremost dissolving that structure and harmonize all tendencies or interests, going forward and all that. So I'm not, I'm not surprised. I'm talking about the expulsion.
Exactly, because I was just going to ask you what you make of that.
So the extension of the Hilliard and all that. So if you look at that too, if you recall, the embattled former national chairman of the party, Adams Oshiomhole, was thrown under the bus too, and its entire escorts, by the same NEC. So they are just trying to balance, the decision, by easing out, Hilliard, so that they can at least start from a clean state, so that the fans and the supporter and sympathizer of Oshiomhole and his own group, because they have their own group too, so they can have some sense of justice that the man that, that was bent on removing their man that eventually had his way, was not allowed to actually, benefit, in quotes, from the outcome of the process. So I'm not surprised, about the whole thing. And to me, again, the extension of the tenure of the caretaker committee led by the Yobe State Governor Malabuni. So I'm not surprised as well, because if you look at it, he has a lot of things, to do. And looking at the 6 months too. So 6 months, we are looking at June, 2021. So he has a lot of time to, actually put the party in order and order. The truth must be told. APC has a lot to do if they want to remain relevant. Even if you look at it, they will admit to you that coming to power in 2015, they came with a lot of promise. A lot of people were hopeful that there would be a remarkable departure, from the norms, and people will witness some, unprecedented development. Well, they tried in their own little way. But if you look at it, if you compare their performance with the people's expectation, you will discover that they have really, performed, below the mark. Because in school, you don't fail an exam for scoring 0. If you score 20, you are still within failure region. If you score 25, nobody will shake your hand. If you score 29, you are still a failure as someone who scored 10. So to us, we are not really impressed. So for them, so a party that has not really delivered exceptionally, You know, it would be very suicidal politically for them to go into any race with fractured, you know, and with fractured house, with, you know, with people with various tendencies working across purposes. So that's why they want to put everything together and make sure that those that have gone, they are trying to bring them back at all costs so that they can have a formidable force, you know, to still hold on to power come 2023.
And now, do you think that this resolution now, dissolving the party structures nationwide, can bring an end to the crisis, or could it just be the beginning of a bigger challenge for the ruling party?
Well, it's a matter of you know, decision they have to take. It was a very hard decision. It is either you are ready to actually take that decision and face the consequences thereof, or probably you just want to prepare the crack and manage things until the party eventually implodes.
And it's sorry to cut you here, but the reason why I'm asking you this is when you dissolve party structure, it means that you have to reconstitute ESCOs and all of that. And you recall what happened with the whole leadership tussle when the Oshiomhole thing happened. So getting new people, reconstituting the ESCO board and all of that now, you don't think that this would cause another problem? People coming out to say, oh, I should be the one heading this unit, I should be the one here, all of that. That's what I'm asking.
You see, politics is all about, you know, conflict resolution and fence mending and all that. Definitely, there will always be interest. It is all about interest. And even if you want to maintain the status quo, there are certain people within the APC fold that are not quite happy, you know, with the way things are. For instance, let me give you an example of Lagos. In Lagos, we have the Tunde Balogun-led ESCO, you know, and we have a factional ESCO too, led by Mr. Fuad Oki. You know, they had their own convention too. They had their own congress, and what do you call it? The Tunde Balogun had their own too. So what happened is that, so if you want anything called peace, if you want the party to be in one accord, especially in Lagos, there is no how you are going to, the caretaker committee will only recognize that because they are in court. I don't know if you are aware. Fuad Oki faction is in court challenging the legality or the legality of the process that produced the Tunde Balogun-led ESCOs. So there is no how the caretaker committee that was saddled with the responsibility of reconciling various elements and tendencies within the party will not dissolve, and at least open up the space and create at least a level playing field for everybody, including the aggrieved members of the party, to have a shot, you know, at the leadership at the ESCO's level. So I don't think, definitely there will still be a fallout. There is no how you can ever have a consensus, you know, as far as leadership is concerned, because, you know, politicians know what they do with the ESCOs. You know, if you are the one holding the structure of the ESCO in the state, you determine so many things. You determine who gets tickets, you know, you determine who you are going to. So there are so many things. There are so many political considerations for you to take over structure at all costs. So to me, I'm not surprised. So the APC, the national APC, needs everybody to be on, you know, to be within the fold for them to actually retain power. That is just a fact.
Well, you know what, Mr. Eniton, we'll just take a short break here, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation and move it now to maybe like an appraisal of the caretaker committee, how the committee has fared so far since it started overseeing the affairs of the party since June this year. We'll take a short break here, and we'll be right back. Don't go away.
Cut. All right. What's your name again? Kemi?
Yes, sir.
Good. Are you ready for us for next week?
Yes, sir.
Next.
Ndewo, sir. Ndewo.
Look, what we need here is one who can speak fluent English. Give her a chance.
I need a angel to hold me. Hold me, my beautiful angel.
Cut! It is Angel, not Angel. Please, I'm done with you. Excuse us. Kemi was far better.
It's not about our rendition. It's not about our performance here. By the time she and her friends join us in our hotel rooms, you will know how far.
Can I have her phone?
She has a robust profile.
Real robust profile. I do not undercut professional ethics. It is an act of corruption. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country. Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. We're still talking about the resolutions reached at the recently concluded National Executive Committee meeting of the All Progressive Congress, which saw the expulsion of the former vice chairman for South-South, Hilliard Etta, and of course the dissolution of all the party structures nationwide. And I still have with me on the program Eniton Olukotun, a public affairs analyst who joins us via Skype from another part of Lagos. Eniton, thank you very much for staying with us on the program. And now let's look at the caretaker committee now headed by the governor of Yobe State. Would you say that that committee has done well enough to resolve the party crisis?
Well, if you look at it, I think the governor has really tried. That is Maina Buni, the governor of Yobe State, who heads that committee, and it is a very tedious work. I don't know if you have been following in the news that there are even agitation in the state that he hardly stay in the state and all that. And he was even modest enough to say that at least he stay in the state for a few days within a month because of the task in his hand and all those things. So he is trying, he's making effort, and it is not easy, bringing people together, especially people with political interests, people who are positioning themselves, scheming, towards power capture and all those things, and at least, creating some level of equity, for various stakeholders within the party and all that. And he has tried quite well. You will recall that even, it is within, you are going to credit the defection of, the governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, to him as well. It was part of the efforts he has made and all that. And for the HESCO, for the caretaker committee itself to have resolved to dissolve all the party structures across the state and all that, it was a very difficult decision. And I think he has the political willpower and the courage, for him to be able to do that. Because if you look at it very well, it has a lot of a grave political, implication. For instance, it actually, such decision actually threw, spanners into the works of all the political gladiators and actors, within the state, because some of them that are already positioning themselves, for the 2023 game, we suddenly discover that they don't have power, over the structure that will produce candidates or delegates, or even if it is direct, nomination process, primary as it were, the executive that are going to, conduct that process, they are not within, one powerful politician grip or one godfather grip and all that. So for him to have taken that decision, in conjunction with the party NEC and all that, I think we can give it to the man. He has really tried, within his own terms of reference. I give it to him. He tried.
And let's talk about Adams Oshiomhole now. Recently ruled out returning as national chairman, and we know, and you rightly pointed out earlier, that this is about interests, whether we like it or not. We know that some people will still be lobbying for the position of national chairman and holding positions in the National Executive Committee now. So what do you make of that Oshiomhole statement saying that he would not return as the national chairman if he's asked to?
But even if you look at it now, who is going to bring in, the Oshiomhole to come and steer the, the party affairs? He was the principal agent provocateur, of the party and all that. He actually led the party to the cemetery and conducted the final burial before they brought in, this present caretaker committee. So if you look at it under his watch, a lot of things, a lot of impunity happened. Look at the case of Edo State, for instance. So it was a sheer ego trip and lack of maturity on his own side that made the party to lose that state. Because if you look at it, for instance, he is the owner of the slave, that owns what the slave owns. So you get the point. Everybody knows quite well that you were quite instrumental to the installation of Godwin Obaseki as the governor in 2016. So you don't need to prove it to anybody and all that. And the way he handled the whole thing, he was throwing his weight around as if he is next to God, as if he could do anything and nothing will happen and all that. And if you look at the way he has been decimated politically, there is no how he has become a political liability, even to the ruling party itself. So he's only feeling good and having fun, by, saying that he will not consider. I don't even see anybody, not even, a new party calling him to come and steer their affairs and all that. And some of us really complained about his own style of leadership. And his temperament. A party the national chairman of a party will not be talking to governors and senators and other leaders as if there is a pupils. As if he can do anything, he can do and undo and nothing will happen. And so many others, a lot of things happen. And also he allowed himself to be used, by some powerful interests within the party that were instrumental to his installation as national chairman. If you must know that definitely a lot of people will come and help you and facilitate your enthronement, but immediately you get to the throne, you must open up the space, and respect other tendencies that did not even support your emergence in the first place. So he was totally carried away pursuing the agenda, of his promoters, of his sponsors and godfathers, and then in the process he was consumed. So even in Edo State today, nobody will reckon with Oshiomhole, for instance. I'm telling you, if you should stand for any election in Edo State today, he will be beaten thoroughly back.
Well, we can't be completely certain about that. But lastly, Eniton, before I let you go, sorry to cut you here.
I'm quite certain about that because he's not in control of any structure in the state. In fact, after the loss of APC, the state chairman of the APC in Edo State came on national TV to lambast him. So who is that? What are we talking about then?
Well, I get your point. I get your point, Enito. But before I let you go, lastly now, before I let you go, the caretaker committee has been handed an additional 6 months to prove its worth, to show its capacity to be able to bring peace, so to speak, to the party, and of course to be able to solve all of the problems, internal problems that the APC has. So what assignment would you say lies ahead, or what would you be expecting from that committee for the next 6 months?
So what happened is that they are going to, continue with the peace process. They have already, started the reconciliation of aggrieved members across states and all that, and extension of olive tree, olive branch to those who have left the party and what have you. And I want to believe within the space of that 6 months too, they will be working on how they are going to organize a convention and what have you, so that they can have new schools and the whole thing will go on the way things should be. He is not going to be the man. He will not continue forever, handling the party affairs and all that. So within that space too, he is going to superintend the process that is going to produce the substantive national chairman for the party and all that. That is after they might have resolved all the crises, all the, grievances they have within the party, which are quite genuine. But if you look at the way things played out in the build-up to, what do you call it now? To the last general election, you will agree with me that there is need for them to actually pull their house to another, and that is exactly what I believe he will be doing going forward in the next 6 months.
Well, we can only wait and see how that committee proves itself and, of course, ensure or brings an end to all the party crisis or the crisis within the ruling party. Thank you very much, Eniton Olukotun, for speaking to us on the program. Thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure being with you.
Well, that's the much we can take on this episode of Analysis. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next time. I am Uni Adekunle. Bye for now.